what would you perceive, or what would you say are some of the typical marital challenges, and in our experiences or experience with you counseling other couples, what are some of those top marital challenges, and how do you circumvent some of those challenges?
I think one of the biggest things is trust. And I believe that trust is simply being predictable. That's it. So your spouse knows what you're going to do at what time of the day at any junction. If I'm locked away and my phone and stuff is in the living room and I'm in my study Keisha don't have to wonder what I'm doing. I'm probably reading something. I'm probably working on something because I'm predictable. If I'm off to myself, that's what I'm doing. I'm reading, I'm studying, I'm writing, I'm doing something productive. So that's predictable. As far as we talked about earlier in the previous module about me getting gas. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much a standard, and it's predictable. It's one of those things she doesn't have to think about. If I'm out and she hasn't said what we're going to eat or what we're going to do, and it's getting close to dinner time, she probably know what we're going to eat, because I'm going to go to Old Faithful. Keisha, where I'm going?
Chick-fil-A.
There it is. Look at that. Chick-fil-A. I'm going to Chick-fil-A. I'm bringing back a 30-piece nugget. You hear me? And we're going to sit here, me, the baby, and Keisha going to sit here on a 30-piece nugget and some fries, and we're going to just eat that. So it's about being predictable. The second thing, I think, another problem in relationships is financial. Financial, due to the fact of inaccurate planning and not thinking about the future. That's one of the issues with money. And we have one that thinks about the right now instead of what's going to happen in the future, or both of them are thinking about the right now. And then they find themselves in need and in want. And I heard something years ago that someone said to me one time. He said, people pay for what they want and they beg for what they need. I was like, oh, that's so, it has proven so true in ministry by just watching people drive around in big Jaguars, but yet they need their light bill paid. I don't understand. Please help me. So financial. Then the other thing is stepkids. Stepkids becomes a real problem, especially if it emasculates a man, due to the fact that the man sees the kid in the household, and you saying that he's my kid. He's like, you know what I'm saying? He's my kid, and I don't call him step. I call him son, and I take care of him. I spend my paycheck on him. I do provide for him. But then when it come down, when he does something wrong, the mom said, don't discipline him because you ain't his father. Oh, but you want me to treat him like he's mine when I'm buying. You want me to treat him like he's mine when I'm loving on him. But when he does something wrong, you don't want me to get in him and let him know that type of behavior will not be tolerated. That becomes a point of tension in the relationship. That becomes a point of tension. Another thing is if the step kid is on the other side. If it's on the other side and it's the woman who has the husband has a kid outside the relationship, and then the wife has to navigate with his BM. That begins to be a problem sometimes as well, especially if you now have a mature people on both ends. Because you have to be able to sit down and have conversations and deal with certain situations in a mature manner, because the kids are watching.
Right. And they will suffer. They suffer greatly.
Yeah. Another point of tension inside of relationships is unspoken expectations. They're in your head, and they in your head by themselves, but you expect your spouse to be able to pull things that are so lodged in the back of your brain and perform those things because you ain't said nothing about what you want. Now, if that makes sense to you, then you carry on. You know what I'm saying? But that makes absolutely no sense to me. In the words of Malcolm X, that is unintelligent. You hear me? That is unintelligent. I don't understand why you would have some expectations that you never voiced. If you want me to give you flowers every Thursday, then just voice that, okay? Every Thursday I will give the flowers my debit card number, and every Thursday you'll get flowers. We don't have to go through this. Because I've been wanting something you ain't been giving. What?
But sometimes we like surprises. We don't want to have to tell you that this is what we want. We want to be surprised. We want it to be sent to our office, or walk through the house and see them on the island, or
cool. I would tell the florist,
whatever.
First and third, take them to the job. Second and fourth, bring them to the house. Okay? Look at that. Boom. Problem solved. You hear me?
And we're talking about problem solving. So this is what I deal with on a regular basis.
This is how we think. You know, I mean, just tell me what you want me to do. You want me to bathe the kid every 4 days, and I bathe the kid every 4. I mean, tell me whatever it is that you want, and let me figure out how to make it happen. That's men. That's us, right? But at the same token, meeting our wives at the point of their need, but we cannot meet you at the point of your need if they're unspoken.
That's good.
Expectations.
That's fair. So we've discussed a lot here. We've talked about assault. We've talked about 7 steps to problem solving. We've talked about potential marital challenges and how to circumvent some of those. Let's speak a little bit on wisdom. Proverbs 22:3-5 tells us, the prudent sees danger and hides himself, but the simple go on and suffer for it. The reward for humility and fear of the Lord is riches and honor and life. Thorns and snares are in the way of the crooked. Whoever guards his soul will keep far from them. So I presented this verse, babe, because I think that obviously there needs to be a level of wisdom and maturity in the union. But I also believe we should guard ourselves, or attempt to guard ourselves, from things that will naturally bring conflict in our homes, in our marriages. For example, social media or reality television in some occasions, some instances, or whatever that thing is.
Or the single friend.
Or whatever that thing is that may be a hindrance or an obstacle for you as an individual to be your best self for the purposes of your marriage. Because you do not want something to prevent you from being your best you in a marriage relationship, or even on the job for that matter. But specifically for the purposes of this, you don't want anything to hinder you from being your best self.
That's it.
Would you like to expound upon that?
I don't, but I will. I definitely believe that when it comes to me giving females my phone number, it's very difficult for me. That's a point of tension for me. I don't give people my phone number. I give women my wife number, and she'd be like, "Why you give her my number?" Because I don't want them calling me. It is what it is. So I think that's something. That's how you guard. That's one of the ways of guarding yourself. I think another way of guarding yourself is not putting yourself in compromising positions. So just with, liking people's posts and liking a figure and talk about how good you're paying more homage to somebody outside of your home than the person who washes your dirty drawers. I just come on. Let me come here. Let me grab you. You can't spend more time praising outside the home than you do inside the home. And I know what some man is thinking. They're probably thinking, well, I do it equally. No, you shouldn't do it equally because the Bible simply says, it says, let your wife's breast satisfy you. It says, man, when you out here looking at some others, don't be out here looking at no others. You got to be satisfied with the pair you have. And underneath them, you should find some refuge. You should just be in there with your spouse and focusing on the love and the passion between you and your spouse. That causes a point of tension. But another thing that brings a point of tension is that I have counseled so many men who want their spouses to act like porn stars. I know. I heard you. They want their spouses to act like porn stars. And that is outside of the covenantal relationship, that you have made a fantasy in your mind and you want your spouse to carry out that fantasy.
Wow.
And you're comparing her to people who do this professionally for a living. And that will cause a point of tension in your relationship, because now you're obsessed by it. You are addicted to it. You can't stop watching it. You're constantly engaged with it, and you cannot reach your climax with your spouse because you need the fantasy that comes with it.
And not only may it be a point of tension on his side, 'cause that sounded like his side, it may be traumatic for her, for your wife, depending on what she's experienced prior to you, if that's the case. I mean, there are some who haven't experienced this at all, and God bless you. But there are some who have, and you're not exactly sure that place that your spouse may be within that particular area. So you want to be gentle and loving and understanding and patient and kind, because that's what love is according to 1 Corinthians. So you want to make sure you're respectful in every area of the union.
And may I add this, because Keisha just clicked this into my mind. If your spouse gives you something in confidence, take that to your grave. Don't bring it up in an argument, because you are breaching the trust of the relationship. If she told whatever she told me, that is not going to be what we going to argue about. That ain't it right there. They give you enough new material that you ain't got to bring up no old stuff. They give you enough new material that you don't got to bring up no old stuff. All right?